What's better, a gas fire or a long-lasting fire? Depends on the situation. And why don't we talk about it? Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. And in case you're wondering, I'm wearing a Buffalo-themed sweatshirt. It's from Store 716. I do not have a brand deal with them. They just make stuff that I like. This one says, "Be good, do good, God bless, go Bills," and the BI in Bills is replaced with the 17 for Josh Allen. I like it. It's nice. It feels nice. It's nice and soft. I would recommend them if you want to buy Buffalo-themed things for the Buffalo-themed person in your life. But that's not why we're here today. No, I wanted to get some thoughts out about the idea of slow burn relationships versus fast burn relationships. Now, as you know, we've sort of very quickly become a dating type podcast here on 7 Minutes. Oh my God, I don't even know the title of my own podcast. 10 Minutes with Nick. On 10 Minutes with Nick, we've become the dating podcast, the one where I give unqualified advice to the internet, and sometimes people respond. Sometimes people like what I say, sometimes people don't like what I say. I said something lightly mean about Andrew Tate once, and people didn't like that. Okay, it's a 10-minute podcast. I would love you to subscribe, or don't. It's up to you. It doesn't change my life. But the slow burn versus fast burn relationship is a really good concept to start to discuss. And you can't get to all of it in 10 minutes, right? The format of this podcast lets me get to kind of the surface of the idea. It doesn't let me get to the whole idea. But let's start with what kind of the basics are of the slow burn versus the fast burn. The fast burn is basically what every song on the planet talks about, right? Except for a very few select set of songs. But most songs are like, "Oh, you make me feel," boom. "Oh, I just want that," boom. "I want that spark. I want that quick. I want that boom." That's what I say when I'm referring to fast burn. When you just look at someone and you're just like, whoo, okay. I read in a magazine yesterday, and then, generally speaking, you follow that up with research into psychology papers, and what you see is that what that is scientifically is just a rush of dopamine. It's like when you're scrolling TikTok and you can't stop scrolling TikTok. It's a rush of dopamine because I don't know how they do it, but that dopamine is like a quick drug for your brain. It's like ooh, that's nice, I want more of that. It's the same thing with porn, really. A slow burn is more of the kind of relationship that that leads somewhere. Why? Because it's a set of choices over time that continuously burns and continues to burn, doesn't stop burning, but it's much less intense. A lot of people get caught in this kind of cycle of needing that quick rush, and then they lose that quick rush, and what they thought was love fades away. This is why, in general, when you're in a relationship, I'm not a big fan of rushing to say, "I love you." That's a big dopamine hit. That's just a big rush of dopamine. You can love a lot of moments when you're with someone without necessarily being in love with someone yet. Why? Well, if we look to the Bible, which I usually do, I forget which verse it is, but it is in the New Testament, and it says, "Love is patient, love is kind." It goes on to say that love essentially endures, love is continuing. Now, that doesn't mean that you're constantly, when you're with someone, that you are constantly like, "Oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. I could never be happier than this moment." No, that's not a thing. Nobody is ever that happy all the time. And if you are, you probably need medical intervention because your brain is being flooded with dopamine far too often. Or you're a dog. You're a puppy. And the world is just the greatest thing ever. In reality, love is a set of choices, is an action. You love someone by choice. But you really can't love someone when your brain is flooded with all that dopamine because you don't know what you're dealing with. You don't know what choices you're making. I would ask anyone in a relationship to evaluate and just ask yourself, am I doing the little things that both are actions of love and show that I love? Or am I just looking for some, or am I just really glad that this pretty girl, guy, they, them, whatever, is just sleeping with me? What do you think? If the answer that comes back is not that you're actually actively making choices, well, then it's not really love. Because again, as I said, love is an action. Being in love is not an action. It's a state of being. Loving someone is an action. It's choosing to do those little things. It's learning about that person and learning the different ways you can love them or they need to be loved. Sometimes you do that evaluation and you realize, I can't love this person the way they need to be loved. Now that's okay if you haven't done the little thing I just said. You remember what I said before? Where we don't rush to say I love you? If you've done that, you're in a bit of a pickle because now you've backed yourself into a corner and now someone's going to get hurt. And look, people get hurt in love all the time. It happens. Even in the best relationships, people get hurt. But two people who are in kind of what the world calls a slow burn relationship can work through the hurt because they know not even that it was unintentional, but that it was not part of just like a loss of the dopamine. You're better than just being in a dopamine fueled haze all the time. You're better than that. I think you are. Listener of 10 Minutes with Nick, which mostly is just my family at this point, And I think really my family knows and has shown me over time that that is the best way to have a relationship with someone. Even with friends, like even in platonic relationships, you can think someone's really cool and really awesome and all that, but really true friendship is choosing to do the things that, help a friend out. So think about it. Think about all those things. I'll give you an example of a platonic relationship where I choose to continue to do the loving actions that show that I care about them. The Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills constantly do things that don't harm me, but they do wound me. For example, they went to the Super Bowl 4 times. Now, I was too young to really remember the games, but I was young enough, I was old enough I was alive, so I remember the emotions of those games. It's amazing what you pick up when you're little. And from an early age, I was wounded. They went through the drought, and it just continued and continued and continued. And they had all these quarterbacks. They swore up and down that this quarterback was the one. This wide receiver would unlock this quarterback. We had Fitzmagic for like 5 minutes. We had Freddie Jackson, who still remains one of my favorite players. Steve Johnson, who just could run a route like no other. And now we have Josh Allen and the rest of the boys, and they're real good and real strong. Josh Allen was MVP this year, but they just couldn't get that last yard on 4th and 1. They just couldn't do it. And they ended up losing to the Chiefs once again in the playoffs, losing a chance at another Super Bowl, and once again hurting me. But I work through it because we're friends, and we're good friends. And I will always be friends with the Buffalo Bills. I'll never be in love with the Buffalo Bills. I will always love the Buffalo Bills. I will never be in love with them. There's very little dopamine hit from watching the Buffalo Bills. It's mostly a nail-biting experience. But that's an example. The Buffalo Bills are a slow burn relationship. That's the relationship you have forever. Same thing with the Buffalo Bandits. Indoor lacrosse. Check them out. They're in the finals. You should watch them. And the Buffalo Sabres. They are not in any sort of playoff game whatsoever. They're in the lottery. They're waiting to see what lottery pick they're going to get. And they should. They should stay there. That's where they belong. Anyways, hopefully that made sense. That's my time. That's my ramble. Hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you liked it. Maybe subscribe if you don't liked it to make fun of me. Leave a mean comment. Leave a nice comment. Do whatever you'd like. It's okay. I'm a big boy. I won't be offended. But either way, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Have a great day.